1996. All right, a challenge is up. Those who were born before 1996. You are the ones who are young at heart. Let me hear it. Come on, one more time, all together. 2024. Are you going to vote? I said, are you going to vote? Who are we? Who are we in this room? Are we Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islanders? I said, are we Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islanders? And are we from the East? Are we from the West? Let me hear it from the South. Let me hear it from the North. It's all right, you guys are cold up there. But I'm going to call it the Midwest. This is the part of America that we're going to pay attention to because we know a majority of the battleground states that we're going to do battle and win. Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada. Let me hear it. What are we fighting for? We are fighting for your voice. This video was constructed in 1996. It was called Your Voice, Your Vote. We are here at a crucial, critical time in our lives as this United States of America. Are we united? Are we united? Is this our community? Do you have your voice? Let me hear it. My voice. Your voice. Our voice. Are we stronger together in November? Are we stronger together in November? Are you getting out the vote? Will you vote? Are you going to encourage everyone to vote? To speak out their voice with their vote? And what is it again? Voice your vote. What is it again? One more time. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to see it. We're going to see it. We're going to see it at November 5th. We're going to see droves of the golden people. When I hear about communities of color, we hear about the blacks, the browns, and I proudly say the goldens from yellow to brown is gold. Who are we? We are the golds. We are golden. We will shine like the sun, and we will carry this race forward. Now, who are we? Asian American, Native Hawaiian APIs, Native Hawaiian PI, Pacific Islanders. Are we going to vote? Stronger together in November? Your voice, my voice, our voice, together.
After that, what about you? And I was thinking, Asians, of course we be the golds, am I right? All right, now I was backstage when she was seeing what area everyone was from, and I gotta say, as a California native, I was a little disappointed in the West Coasters. So I'm gonna give you another chance because we're welcoming a trio of West Coasters. Please welcome to the stage the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus. We've got Chair Representative Judy Chu from California, Representative Ted Lieu, also from California, and Representative Jill Takuda from Hawaii.
Good afternoon, Philadelphia. I'm Congressmember Judy Chu, Chair of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, or what we call KPAC. I want to thank APIA Vote and your amazing Executive Director, Christine Chen, for such a phenomenal and historic town hall event. It's an incredible feat to bring together thousands of Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders in person and tuning in from virtually across the country for this milestone event so that we can win in November. As chair of KPAC, I'm so proud to follow in the footsteps of leaders like Norm Mineta, Robert Underwood, and Patsy Mink in leading this caucus, which has leveraged our AANHPI community's power on Capitol Hill for 30 years. Before our founding, we were invisible in the halls of Congress. As a result, there was no one to speak up for us when one of the most discriminatory acts in our nation's history was passed, the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, and when Japanese Americans were incarcerated during World War II. That is why it's so significant to see the immense growth of our power. Today, we have 22 AANHPI members of Congress and 77 KPAC members, a historic high. Because we have a seat at the table, we've pushed for the rights and needs of our communities. When COVID-19 resulted in 11,500 anti-Asian hate crimes and incidents exacerbated by Trump calling COVID-19 the China virus and Kung Fu, we got the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act passed. When it was evident that so much of the American public did not know about the contributions of AANHPIs, we got the AANHPI Museum Study Bill passed. When Trump targeted Chinese researchers as being spies for China through his China Initiative, we pushed back and got the China Initiative ended. And we are still pushing back on Republican efforts to revive it. And now they are introducing anti-Asian alien land laws that prevent Chinese nationals from owning lands and homes, but we've successfully fought to keep these provisions out of major legislation. Because we have a seat at the table, we push our federal government partners to ensure our communities are being seen, from requiring the Census Bureau to include AANHPI categories in their reports, to pushing every federal agency to disaggregate AANHPI data so that we can improve linguistically and culturally appropriate outreach to every one of our communities, and that every one of them can be seen. But there's still so much more to be done. We must protect and strengthen diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives and affirmative action. We must address unique challenges faced by NHPI communities. We must fight to achieve language access, health equity, and economic justice. We must continue to support and protect our immigrant communities. As you've heard through this town hall, our voices and vote on these issues must not be ignored. AANHPIs are the fastest growing racial group in the US, and as a result, the fastest growing voting bloc. Not only have we claimed our seat at the table, but AANHPIs have truly gone from being marginalized to being the margin of victory. So I urge you all to remain engaged, cast your vote, and ensure your voices are heard at the ballot box this November. That means registering those in the community who are not registered to vote. It means getting those who are already registered to the polls to cast their vote. And it means exercising the true power and potential that we have as AA NHPIs to make a difference in this country in November and beyond. And now I am proud to introduce Congressmember Ted Lieu, who not only serves in KPAC's leadership, but we are so proud because he is Vice Chair of the House Democratic Caucus and the first Asian American ever elected to Democratic leadership, which means one day he can be Speaker of the House. Congressmember Ted Lieu.
Good afternoon. 2 days ago, Representatives Judy Chu, Joe Takuda, and half a dozen really stupid bills. So let me just first say how happy I am to stand in front of so many normal, rational, kind people. I want to give a shout out to my good friend Christine Chen for her leadership at APIA Vote. And to Judy Chu as KPAC Chair. As Judy mentioned, under Judy's leadership, we have the highest number of AA and HPI members of Congress in U.S. history, and we're going to expand. We just won an election in Virginia, AA and HPI member, and our own Andy Kim will be the next U.S. Senator from New Jersey. So I'm going to speak a little bit about the AA and HPI community, and there's both good news and bad news. I'm going to start with the bad news first. Discrimination and hate crimes continue to do bad things to our friends and family members in our community. During the pandemic, there was a shocking rise of 339% in hate crimes against the AA and HPI community. Certainly, it was not helped when the former president gave a permission structure for people to attack the AA and HPI community. Donald Trump used racist phrases like Kung Flu. Donald Trump blamed the pandemic on people that look like you and me. And Trump still continues to repeatedly mock the name of Elaine Chao, continuing to send a message somehow Asian Americans are other, that we're not of this country. And every time Donald Trump mocks Elaine Chao, he is not only disrespecting her, he is disrespecting you in the AA and HPI community. Now, the good news is the Biden-Harris administration does not do that. In fact, they do the opposite. President Biden has signed 2 executive orders to combat hate crimes against the AA and HPI community. President Biden signed the law authored by Grace Meng and Senator Hirono and KPAC members that combated hate crimes against the Asian American community. And right now, in the second highest office in the land, sits the first ever Asian American, Afro American Vice President of the United States, our beloved Kamala Harris. And some other good news, as Congressman Judy Chu mentioned, the AA and HPI community is the fastest growing community in the United States. We've more than doubled in size since 2000. And according to a Pew Research report, the Asian American community will be the largest immigrant group by 2055. And in the last presidential election, there are more voters from the AA and HPI community in swing states like Nevada, Georgia, Arizona, and Pennsylvania than there were in the margin of victory. And then earlier this year, a congressional seat flipped because of a surge of AA and HPI voters. So here's the message. The AA and HPI community has arrived. We will not be disrespected. And come this November, hear us roar. So it's now my great honor to introduce my good friend, Joe Takuda, who is an amazing member of Congress from Hawaii. She did so much to help Maui rebuild after that disaster, and she is on the KPAC Executive Board. And please now welcome Congressmember Joe Takuda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just kidding. I think it sounds great. Aloha, everyone. You know, I have to take a moment just to look at all of you. Because who would have ever thought that we would fill a room this size. And you know for a fact there are twice as much, 3 times as many of us back home or watching on television or on their Zoom screens right now that are in the streets making sure that our social power is heard. I mean, this is what we call in Hawaii an absolutely chicken skin moment. So you know what that means, right? It is. When I first, thought about running for office, I remember that not a lot of people look like me. I mean, yes, in Hawaii, we're a little bit different, but if you looked in the halls of Congress, if you looked at city halls or state legislators across this country, we did not see ourselves. You could not find many Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islanders sitting in seats of power, whether as elected or even appointed. Well, my friends, times have changed. We've arrived, and not only have we arrived, we are embracing our power to be at every seat, at every table, to make sure that this country understands AANHPI, we're not going anywhere. We are not going anywhere. That deserves a clap. And while you've heard today that our numbers are at the highest they've ever been in Congress, the bottom line is we're going to do better. We have to double those numbers. We have to triple those numbers. But it starts with all of you. I know we've got a bunch of you in this room, and it's hard to see from end to end, but if you are in elected office right now, if you are running for office or you're in an appointed position in government, please stand up. Don't be shy. Don't be Asian. Come on, stand up and be proud. Look around at these people. Every single day. That's right. Every day. They are holding us up. They are lifting us up. They are making sure that when people look to leadership, they see us. These are the individuals, my friends, that we need to support. We need to give our 200% commitment to, because the bottom line is in every corner of this country, they need more of this. They need more of us. And it's up to us to multiply those numbers. I can't tell you how important this moment is, not just for our people, but for our country. And as Ted mentioned it, we see it every day in the halls of Congress. The bottom line is we are descendants of people and civilizations centuries older than this country that we now call home. In our blood runs centuries, generations, years and years of cultural and historic triumph and trauma. We speak over 100 different languages and dialects. We represent over 79 different ethnicities. This is our superpower. This is our strength. And if there's ever been a time when this country has needed to draw on our collective experience, our values, our knowledge, the way we lead with compassion and grace and dignity, it is now. So my friends, we are all here together, united in this room. Despite differences we have, despite where we might come from across the country, because we recognize one thing, that America is at a crossroads. America is at a crossroads, and right now it needs the leadership of us to help see its way forward. And I ask you this. You're going to be told today to go out and vote. You're going to be told today to research the candidates, to ask the hard questions, to volunteer, to step up in the coming election. And I just make this humble request of you first. For any candidate that you will put your back behind, your effort behind, your money behind, your vote behind, you make sure that you know that they see you, that they recognize the individuality and importance of who you are as Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islanders. You make sure they hear you, and that means they're listening to you, that you have a seat at their table, that they understand that it's not just about checking off a box and saying we cover the AANHPI, that they truly hear you, understand your hopes, your dreams, your passions. But most importantly, please, my friends, you make sure they engage and they empower you. This is our time to be lifted up and not just seen and heard, but activated and called to action and put to work. So please, before you do anything for any candidate, including myself, you make sure that you're seen, you're heard, that you're empowered. I'm going to channel a little Tamlin Tomita right now, which is really hard to do because she's shorter than me. But she's like 10 times bigger on stage, as we all know. But I saw her do this. I want you to help me repeat a mantra that I say in my head every day when I'm in Congress, which is exactly that. See me, hear me, Empower me. Not a day goes by in Congress, I don't step out into the floor in a caucus room or anything where I am not intent on making sure that they see me, they hear me, they empower me, because it's so important, not just for me, but for all of us. So let's say it together. See me. Hear me. Empower me. We can do better. One more time. See me. Hear me. Empower me. See me. Hear me. Empower me. This is our year, my friend. This is our time. I love all of you. Thank you. And I'll see you out there. We're going to win in November. Mahalo.
Please welcome to the stage KPAC Chair and Congresswoman Judy Chu.
Good afternoon once again. I'm Congressmember Judy Chu, Chair of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, and I'm honored to join you once again to introduce our keynote speaker today, someone we in the AANHPI community are incredibly proud of, Vice President Kamala Harris. Vice President Harris has made history and broken barriers as our nation's first Asian American, African American, and woman vice president. And it's so significant that she is joining us today to address our communities. From day one, she and President Biden condemned anti-Asian hate and invited KPAC leaders to meetings in the White House to discuss how to address it. That is why the Biden-Harris administration enacted the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act into law. And to address the invisibility of AANHPIs to many Americans, they signed into law a bill to start the process of creating a National Smithsonian Museum of AANHPI history and culture, the first step to our very own museum to teach the public that AANHPI history is American history. Now, last year, tragedy hit my hometown of Monterey Park, California, when a mass shooting occurred and a gunman killed 11 Americans, all Asian immigrants. Vice President Harris was on the ground within just a few days and personally consoled the victims' families with her deep compassion. Afterwards, one of the survivors of the shooting told me how shocked and numb he was after seeing his friends shot and killed. He held it all in. And it wasn't until he saw Vice President Harris that he was finally able to cry. I thanked her immensely and President Biden for their incredible empathy as well as staunch support of gun violence prevention in communities like mine. And the Biden-Harris administration really sees us. Under the previous administration, when the data on COVID-19 hospital deaths were first announced, the death rates for blacks, whites, and Hispanics were represented, but we were shocked to see that we, the AANHPIs, were lumped in as others. Even in the midst of a global pandemic, we were otherized. But President Biden and Vice President Harris not only see us, they did something that we'd been advocating for nearly 30 years. This administration updated federal data standards on race and ethnicity, ensuring that every federal agency will disaggregate AANHPI data in their collection and reporting, making sure that every AANHPI ethnic group will be seen and heard. So I want to thank Vice President Harris for ensuring that our community is not invisible. She always sees us, she always shows up for us, and she recognizes our culture. In fact, for the first time ever in history, at her magnificent Vice President residence, she hosted events for Lunar New Year, then Diwali, and then the first ever AANHPI Heritage Month night market. We are so proud to have our very own member of KPAC serving at the highest level of government. Kamala Harris has been a tremendous leader and inspirational as a barrier-breaking role model for a whole generation of younger AANHPIs. It's my great honor to introduce the first Asian American and woman elected Vice President of the United States. Welcome, Madam Vice President Kamala Harris.
Can we hear for Judy Chu?
Good afternoon, everyone. Please have a seat. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Let me thank Representative Chu before she leaves the stage entirely. I want to thank you, Judy. She talked about when I was in her district, and many of us have worked with her over the years. She's an extraordinary leader and a powerful leader, a compassionate leader, and extraordinarily effective. And I've seen her in the halls of Congress when the cameras are on and when the cameras are off, and she is always fighting for the people. So, Judy, thank you for that beautiful introduction. Can we please applaud Judy too? Thank you. And greetings to all of the members of the United States Congress who are here and the members of KPAC. As Judy said, I am a former and very proud former member of KPAC, and I know the leaders who are a part of that incredible organization are a force for progress always in our country. And to all of the other leaders who are assembled here, I thank you. In 2020, it was the leaders here who helped to energize, organize, and mobilize. It is you who helped elect Joe Biden to become President of the United States and me to become Vice President of the United States. And in 2024, we are counting on your leadership once again. President Biden and I know this is a community that is a force and must always be recognized, and must always be recognized for the leadership that has provided for so much progress throughout the history of our country. And your work is essential to our victory in November. In fact, earlier this week, I was in Las Vegas to launch the AANHPI voters for Biden-Harris. And I will tell you, folks are fired up and ready to fight. Today, we are 115 days out from the election. And while many of us have been involved with these elections every 4 years, and nearly every time we say this is the one, well, this here is the one. This is the one. The most existential, consequential, and important election of our lifetime. And we always knew this election would be tough. And the past few days have been a reminder that running for President of the United States is never easy, nor should it be. But one thing we know about our President, Joe Biden, he is a fighter. And he is the first to say, when you get knocked down, you get right back up. So, we will continue to fight. We will continue to organize. And in November, we will win. We will win. Fundamentally, this election will come down to this. President Biden and I fight for the American people. Donald Trump does not. I have discussed a few examples of our fight with some of the leaders here today. It's an ongoing discussion we've been having. Let's start, for example, with the issue of affordable health care. When he was in the White House, Donald Trump tried more than 60 times to end the Affordable Care Act, more than 60 times, and give insurance companies then back the power to deny people with pre-existing conditions. Remember what that was like? Remember before our successful fight to pass the Affordable Care Act, what that meant for people with pre-existing conditions? Children with asthma? Women who survived breast cancer? Grandparents with diabetes? We cannot forget what that was like and the fact that he is trying to roll us backward. President Biden and I, on the other hand, have defended the Affordable Care Act and made it stronger because we believe health care should be a right and not just a privilege for those who can afford it. And today, more AA-NHPI Americans have health insurance than ever before. We also took on Big Pharma and lowered the cost of prescription drugs. And we capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month for our seniors to the benefit of more than 2 million AA-NHPI seniors. We are also finally making it so that medical debt, which is most often the result of a medical emergency, you don't plan for that, that medical debt can no longer be used against your credit score. This is going to have a direct impact on so many people, a credit score being the determining factor on whether you can get a small business loan, a car loan, or even a lease for an apartment. To create opportunity, President Biden and I have also addressed many long-standing inequities, including inequities like the lasting effect of so-called urban renewal projects, including right here in Philadelphia, the Vine Street Expressway. Decades ago, that expressway was built to cut right through Chinatown. It displaced families and devastated neighborhoods, and it continues to cut off residents of Chinatown from jobs and opportunities in other communities. So to address this inequity, President Biden and I have invested nearly $160 million to build parks, bike paths, and walking paths over the Vine Street Expressway, which will make the neighborhood then more beautiful, more walkable, more bikeable, and most importantly, make it easier for the residents of that community to get to work, to get to school, to get to church. And we are doing the same kind of work that we are doing here in places from Detroit to Atlanta to Birmingham, dealing with long-standing inequities. Whereas the former president incites hate, we are working to combat hate. With the support of KPAC, as Judy mentioned, we passed the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act, making it easier for members of the AA-NHPI community to report acts of hate. And while I will not repeat the vile, vile language that Trump has used, I will say, someone who vilifies immigrants, who promotes xenophobia, who stokes hate, and who incites fear should never again have the chance to stand behind a microphone and never again have the chance to stand behind the seal of the President of the United States of America. There is so much at stake in this moment. And last week, we were again reminded of that fact. And we will have those 4 more years. And we will have those 4 more years. And of course, we respect everyone's right to voice their concerns. I am speaking right now, however, and I'm going to continue with the topic at hand. So last week, we are fighting for a democracy and democratic values, which includes the right of everyone to speak. And I will then, we are going to have 4 more years also. So, listen, there is so much at stake in this moment, and last week we were again reminded of that fact. Let us please take note when the Supreme Court recently basically told this individual who has been convicted of fraud that going forward he will be immune for activity we know he is prepared to engage in if he gets back into the White House. Consider, Donald Trump openly vowed, if reelected, that he will be a dictator on day 1, that he will weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies, that he will round up peaceful protesters and throw them out of our country, and even, quote, terminate the United States Constitution. Well, not on our watch. President Biden and I will always fight to protect our Constitution. And Trump's advisors have created a 900-page blueprint of their agenda for a second term. They call it Project 2025. And it includes a plan to cut Social Security, to repeal our $35 cap on insulin, to eliminate the Department of Education and end programs like Head Start. And if Donald Trump wins a second term, he will continue his full-on assault on reproductive freedom. Remember, then President Donald Trump handpicked 3 members of the United States Supreme Court because he intended for them to undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as he intended, they did. Now, over 20 states have an abortion ban, a Trump abortion ban. Today in America, 1 in 3 women of reproductive age lives in a state with a Trump abortion ban. Many with no exception even for rape and incest. And Trump says he is, quote, proudly the person responsible for overturning Roe. We all know one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government should not be telling her what to do with her body. And make no mistake, if he gets the chance, he will sign a national abortion ban to outlaw abortion in every single state. But we are not going to let that happen. We have all together worked too hard and fought too long to see our daughters grow up in a world with fewer rights than our mothers. We trust women. And when Congress passes a law that restores the reproductive freedoms of Roe, our President, Joe Biden, will sign it. Yes. So ultimately, in this election, we each face a question. What kind of country do we want to live in? And here's the beauty of this moment. We have the power to answer that question, each one of us. And the question being, do we want to live in a country of freedom, compassion, and rule of law, or a country of chaos, fear, and hate? We each have the power to answer this question. If the Supreme Court says the laws do not apply to Donald Trump, if extremists in Congress continue to bow down to him, if people like Mike Pence are not around to stand up to him, our last line of defense is the ballot box. Your vote, your voice. So today I ask the leaders here, are you ready to make your voices heard? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you all.